end of the day, I wanted to come to a club that was going to hopefully win more premierships, and GWS are going to be great, no doubt, but I can probably see that in 4 or 5 years' time they're going to be good, and I want success pretty much straight away, so that's the reason why I chose Sydney.
Buddy there talking about why he chose to get to Sydney other than GWS. The Sydney Swans coach is John Longmire, and he joined us on the run home. Thanks, John, for your time.
G'day, guys. How you going?
We're well, mate. Geez, you can keep a secret.
Yeah, well, it's obviously a big story, and it sort of hits home again today when you see a picture of Buddy on the front and back page of the Daily Telegraph, which doesn't happen too often up here.
No, it doesn't, Horse. Do you tell your wife, John?
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
Look, I think that you've got to realise that a lot of the discussions that take place in football are just that, and not many actually turn out the way you think they might, and there's a lot of toing and froing, and so you don't really get to a point of actually telling people until you actually absolutely know. And
so when did you tell your wife?
A couple of weeks ago.
Hey, John, can I just speak plainly, just for a tick?
No problem.
No one reckons he's going to be playing in 2021 and 2022. No one thinks that's going to happen down here in Victoria. I mean, we hear it from the Sydney Swans that you guys reckon he'll be right for the 9-year deal. Do you really see him playing in 21 and 22?
Well, first point is he's quite a unique athlete, and I think everyone acknowledges that. If you sort of look at Buddy Franklin and the sort of athlete he is, he's quite unique. Adam Goods plays next year as a 34-year-old for us. And he's quite a unique athlete. So we've had a number of players play into their 30s, and we will have a number of players next year playing well into their 30s. So obviously we believe he can, and hopefully he does.
John, he's such a big figure, and he's on such a big wicket that there is going to be casualties along the way. We've seen Mumford go over to GWS, and there's probably one or two more that we might see leave as well. Has that been hard on the other players, and getting permission off Jared McVeigh, how important was that for the decision?
Well, it was just a discussion with Jared that this was a possibility. It wasn't set in concrete, and what do you think? And really that was based upon Jared's our most experienced captain, I guess. He's been captain for 3 years now, and his leadership's developed to a wonderful position, and it was a discussion we had with him, and in the end it's about the benefit and what we think he can bring to our team on the field, and we think that he can bring enormous benefit to us.
Will the SCG suit him, John?
I certainly hope so. It's
he's there for 9 years. He'd want to.
He'd want to get used to it. But look, yeah, I do. I do think so. Actually, it's in the process now of getting lengthened with the new stand. So it's actually going to be lengthened, the SCG. And
how much longer, John?
I think it's about 5 metres longer. I think it's around that. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's actually getting lengthened a little bit.
Good.
And with that new grandstand, which will be open for the first test at the SCG, or whatever test it is at the SCG.
Sam Reid, he's the one that's been most interesting since Buddy has arrived. He signed a 5-year deal last year. He's a key forward. Could his role change, or could he be, or has he been shopped around at all, John? Because his name has been mentioned in dispatches at many clubs.
Not by us.
Okay.
Not by us. Absolutely not.
So he won't be leaving Sydney?
No, not at all.
Okay.
He's a 20-year-old premiership centre forward, Ox, and there's not many of those blokes running around. And,
but he might not be playing centre forward for you guys.
Well, he might be, and he might be different roles. And as you see now with positions, there's you've got to be pretty interchangeable these days. And there's certainly a position for him in our forward line. He's 6'5", he's lightning quick. That's the prerequisite, I guess. It doesn't matter how tall you are, as long as you've got some speed. He's got plenty of speed. He can certainly play up the ground, and I even discussed with him this year when he was coming back from injury, because we had a lot of injuries to our back six. The possibility of playing in our back half, because I'm certain he could do that as well. So I'm sure he'd be flexible.
Could you make some room for Heath Shaw?
No, it'd be fair to say I think he's a wonderful player, but I think at the moment we're about done.
I reckon the GWS might be happy to hear about that.
A couple of players that have been spoken about, Luke Parker and Andre Everett. Where are they at?
No, Luke Parker's not going anywhere. We rate Luke extremely highly. We re-signed him during the course of the year for 3 years. We think he's a fantastic young player. Andreas Everett's out of contract at the moment, so I guess we've got to wait and see what happens with the trade period.
And John, just about the Sydney culture, we always talk about it. Buddy, there's a question mark. You hear about it listening to radio. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think Buddy's like, we understand the profile he's got. I mean, that's, we understand that it's because he's a really good player. But, once you come into the footy club, it's whether you're Buddy Franklin, you're Adam Goods, you're Jared McVeigh, or you're a draftee, you've got to work hard and prepare well, and that's what we expect of him, and that's what we expect he'll do.
Now, I hear Stuart Dew's doing a shocking job up there, John, and you're just about to give him the flick.
Terrible job.
And he's looking at coming down to Melbourne and maybe finding a home there. What's the, in all seriousness, Stuart Dew, he's obviously important to your structure, but Melbourne want to have a serious look at him.
Yeah, and that's, in one way, you take it as a real compliment. I mean, he's been terrific for us. He's been a line coach now for 3 years. He was a development coach before that, and he's a line coach now for 3 years. So, he's been fantastic for us. And we understand obviously that Melbourne are keen on him. We still are as well, and we're in discussions with him as we speak, and we'll have to wait and see how it plays out.
John, we keep hearing from the AFL that possibly the COLA, the cost of living allowance, is about to maybe go south. Is it fair, do you think, I don't think anyone wants it to be ripped away from you, but do you think it's fair that if they do that, make that decision, that your salary cap remains the same until the rest of the salary caps are in the competition actually outgrow where they are at the moment and go past where you are?
Look, I think there's a number of different things on the table, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of discussions going over the next 12, 24 months. It's my understanding, and all I actually say is that obviously we support, as GWS do, the cost is clearly different in Sydney, and where that plays out now, I'll let that transpire amongst the powers that be. All I want to do now is make sure we concentrate on our footy team.
Just one off the SMS here, Horst, saying that if you were coaching Buddy Franklin, a la Alistair Clarkson,
yep,
and he went to another club like the way he has gone to your club,
yep,
how annoyed would you be?
I'd be disappointed because he's a great player. I mean, you don't want to lose great players because you're a coach. I think the great thing, though, is that he's been able to win 2 premierships at Hawthorn with Alistair as coach. I think that's fantastic. And, if we didn't win the premiership this year, which we clearly didn't get to grand final day, that I thought one of the terrific things for Buddy and Alistair was that they were able to win a premiership for Hawthorn again, which is great for them.
Did you ring Clarko?
I spoke to Clarko the week after. I mean,
what did he say?
Well, it was just more just a general chat. I mean, it was just like, firstly, congratulations on winning a premiership.
Do you want to give you a clip?
No, we had a pretty cordial discussion. Obviously, disappointed losing. I think in the end, at the start, he'd be not surprised that he was going. I guess after the discussions and being put the contract offers off for the period of what happened during the course of the year. But obviously, the Sydney thing was a bit different, and maybe they weren't expecting that. But we had a pretty cordial discussion.
And just while you're talking about disappointment there, John, if you lost the collar and GWS kept it, would that disappoint you?
Well, clearly. Clearly. I mean, we all live in Sydney.
Fair enough. John, thanks for your time. Congratulations. Good luck with Buddy.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Good on you. John Longmire there, the Sydney Swans coach.